Hi, I'm Chris Wilson, a 20-year veteran insurance agent, and I'm going to try and help you understand a little bit more about the insurance and auto insurance specifically basics. We're going to start today with liability coverage. Liability coverage is required in most every state. This really is your main protection for when you're declared at fault in a motor vehicle accident and your vehicle causes bodily injury or property damage to someone else. Ultimately, this is what protects you, the insured, your family, and your assets for claims that might be made against you. Now, of course, the big question I do usually get is, how much of this should I really have, Chris? Well, in my opinion, if you have any kind of listable assets or, a decent income, you really shouldn't have anything less than, say, 100,000, 300,000 of coverage. And what that means is that's 100,000 per person or 300,000 per car for that other car. Keep in mind, this isn't for you. This is for the other car to cover that. Ideally, you would have at least 250,000 to 500,000, assuming your budget can afford it, as this really is your strongest layer of defense from a possible lawsuit. But do remember that a good agent should ask you several personal questions to determine really how best to protect your specific needs. It's actually quite common, though, for me to recommend an increased protection amount, kind of depending on a lot of times where you drive, for example, California, and your specific assets that you might need to protect. I would sometimes go as high as $1 million and sometimes even more. Uninsured motorists. Now, this coverage protects you if someone is not obeying the law and is driving without any insurance. So, kind of crazy that we have to have coverage to help us in case somebody isn't obeying the law, but it would basically help pay for medical expenses that arise from an uninsured motorist accident. It doesn't sound very fair, though. But without this, you really could be stuck with a very large medical bill that sometimes was not even your fault. Finally, let's talk about the coverage parts that are really actually for you. Now, one of them is called medical payments. Now, because your liability coverage, that was the first one we discussed, it only covers injuries to other parties outside of your car. You will need medical coverage, whether at fault or not, to help pay medical costs that may arise if either you or your passengers are injured during an accident. Collision coverage. Now, this is what provides coverage for your vehicle after a collision occurs. So, when your vehicle is damaged in an accident, this optional coverage pays the cost of replacing or repairing your car back to its what we call like original state. Now, other than collision, which most people nowadays call comprehensive, this covers most other types of accidental direct loss other than loss from a collision. Some examples of this would be a fire, a falling object like a tree or a limb, vandalism, even a flood or earthquake may be covered under this type of coverage. This won't solve every question you might have for insurance, but I do hope this helps you when you're out looking for what you should or shouldn't do or how much you maybe should have for your auto insurance. I can't stress enough, you really should talk to a live agent and get your facts based on your unique circumstances. That's all I got. Hopefully this helps you out. Thank you very much. This is Chris Wilson.